Good afternoon, Year 10, and welcome to this screencast about databases. The reason I've decided to do this screencast is really simple. Take a look at this picture. What do you see in this picture? What's this big metal thing? Well, that's right, it's called a sieve. And what does a sieve do? Well, you put things in it and you shake it around and bits and pieces come out the bottom. Well, this is a little bit like what happens when I teach you. All that knowledge that I give you goes in the top of the sieve, and then for some reason over the next 2 or 3 weeks the sieve gets shaked about and all of this knowledge down here that you used to have goes missing, and you're only left with this knowledge. And questions like, oh, but how did we do that? And I can't remember how we did question 24. And this is what happens. To your knowledge, it kind of sieves like this. Or it might even sieve like this. You know, here's your knowledge and what I've taught you. 2 weeks later, it's cat litter. Maybe, maybe not. But anyway, this not remembering is a big problem. Now, I already have one of these videos for queries and reports, so I'm not going to create another one on queries and reports, but the one I haven't got is how to put data in a database in the first place. And to do that, I'm going to remind you and create a new database. So, before you do anything, you would create a database and name it the name of the exam. So, for example, if this was November 2009, I would call it November 09. Seems pretty simple and straightforward and logical. Don't call it something random like that, and don't call it database either, because when you come to revise in year 11, you won't remember what on earth it was you did. So November or Nov 09 or 2009 is fine. Now, I already have one of these because I did this ages ago. But anyway, here's my new database. Now, how do I put the data into the database was the question that somebody asked me today. Well, you go to external data, and where it says import and link, which is here, you go to text file. From text file, you browse for the file that you need to use, and that will be found on the desktop, probably in a supporting files folder looking like this. Now, I'm just going to pick one at random. Let's see, May, June 2010, supporting files. Let's go with J10 sales. There we go. So let's imagine this is my file that I'm importing. I press open and I go to OK. And you'll see here on this first window that my data is shown, and I just choose delimited. Move on to the next one. Here I choose first row contains field names because I want to make absolutely sure that my field names are made. And then I go to advanced. And in advanced I have to ask myself, is there any of these data types that need to change? And usually you'll find that the ones that need to change are price, because it's supposed to be currency, meaning money, and tour, which is yes, no. Usually there is one field like delivery or tour or pass or fail, something like that, that requires yes, no. And most of the others you can leave as they are, just like this. I press OK and I move on. Next, no primary key. Next again. And once I've done all of that, I press finish. And once I've pressed finish, I have my data here. Here it is here, J10 sales. But before I use it, I right click and I go to design view, and I make sure that my data types are changed by also changing them in the field properties here. So price becomes currency and 2 decimal places, and tour becomes format yes, no. Now in a real exam, like the one you're going to do on Wednesday, you would have to do a print screen of this as evidence that you had done it. So print screen, into Word, because this is the program you would use to show you print screens, create a blank document and paste. There we go. Easy as that. There's proof that I did currency, and then proof that I did tour, print screen, into Word, Word document, There we go. So there's my evidence that I actually changed the fields. Now, before I finish this video, I'm going to save that and I'm going to view the data. This should always, the yes-no field should always show yes and no. If it shows little squares or it shows -1 and 0, it's gone wrong. Do it again. If it shows yes and no, give yourself a little clap and think, yay, it worked. Anyway, now that you've got all of this, there's one final thing that people are forgetting. So going back again to the problem of the sieve. What they're forgetting is this. When they get a new question that they haven't seen before, and let's imagine this is a new question, they get the question, produce a report, and they say, but what do we do? And I say, well, remember in class that we split these things according to what would be done in the query and what would be done in the report. And we said that what would have to be done in the query is any calculation of a new field, okay? Any sorting and searching of the data, that would be done in the query. And the report would be any calculations of totals and anything to do with the layout of the data, okay? So for example, in this question, contains a new field income, that's the query. And remember that I told you that when you do this, you can put a little Q next to it for query and a little R next to it for report. But some of you are saying, yeah, but what does this question mean in this exam? Well, you just read it exactly like you did the example I did with you, and you say to yourself, okay, what is that supposed to do? So if I was to get another paper, I would expect you, where it says shows only fields, staff, date, booking, week and tour, let's imagine that said show the fields flight number, destination, surname and date. I would expect you to still be able to select fields that are different names through using the query design. If you don't remember how to do the query, look at the queries and reports screencast I did before. I would still expect you to know that the heading is what you save the query as, and it's what you name the report as. And I would still expect you to be able to do price multiplied by number if it was salary multiplied by tax, because it's exactly the same skill in exactly the same way, just using different words. So it shouldn't be difficult, but for some reason people forget. So anyway, that's my guide as to how to do the basics of importing, and a reminder that if you go to Year 10 curriculum 2012-2013 and databases, there's the query and reports movie already done for you. So you can look at that again if you really have forgotten what to do for queries and reports. And you can look at this if you've really forgotten how to import the data. Okay, that's it for now. I'll speak to you later. Thank you for listening. Bye.